VRChat. A game for fun and online interaction with other players. But this is what people see on the surface. Doxing, gangs, rooming, destroyed reputation, lives, mental health. This documentary will go into the side of VRChat nobody has talked about. So, what is VRChat exactly? VRChat is an online virtual reality experience which allows players to simulate real life or live out their wildest adventures and dreams. Anyone with a VR headset can play it, and millions of people log on every day. It's a great way to make new friends, meet new people, compete against your friends, and have a great time overall. This is why it's so popular. You can do anything, you can be anyone, until we dig a little deep. VRChat is a great place on the surface. Sure, it may contain some toxicity, some bad people, but this is common for every game, even Minecraft. The most loved game on the planet, played by people of all ages, has had some bad things happen. But as we dive deeper, there are much more sinister things happening right under people's noses. This video goes into detail, covering some very hard-hitting questions, many interviews, and the dark truth behind VRChat.
It's no secret, gaming can deteriorate mental health, but most people know how to game in moderation, to just have fun and it off stream. But when you obsess over it, when it's an addiction, it can destroy you from the inside. VRChat is no different. In some cases, it may be even worse. VRChat is filled with positivity, but also filled with toxicity, hate, and negative behavior and culture. This toxicity and hate can ruin a person's mental health and may cause severe issues leading to long-lasting mental health issues. There's a distinct reason why VRChat may cause more issues than other games, and that reason is because of its immersiveness. It may be confusing, the game seems cartoony and very childish, but very quickly anyone can get sucked in and hooked on the games. Hooked on the toxicity, the hate. This negativity can latch into them and it will feed them off. The player can experience more mood swings, anger issues, and be all around self-destructive. VRChat can also infest your life without you not even knowing it, causing you to want to play it even more, which in turn makes the issues worse.
So as an example, when I first started this game, right, I played it for 2 weeks straight because I wanted to get the full experience of everything that you could do here. Without me realizing it, when I went to work, I was subconsciously using the Joy-Cons. When I would sit at the desk, if I was making expressions, like for example how I am with this hand here, I would make expressions without even realizing it. And it was at that point that I knew that I needed to put the game down for a while. And when you're in a professional environment and you're randomly doing a peace sign or something like that, that's a little weird, ain't it? I definitely believe, again, because this can be an escape, and especially if people are in bad situations at home, this is the perfect place to get your mind away from it, like going to vacation or an amusement park. It completely has the potential, besides becoming an addiction, to be negative to your psyche, to where it gets harder to distinguish real life versus VR. You know, if real life sucks too much, you're gonna live in VR more, which can lead to even more negative habits.
Completely developed, I wouldn't say so, but I think some of them worsen being, I don't know, having a second life in this kind of environment might be something that sounds good at first, but the moment you put your headset down, you kinda get thrown back into reality, which can hit hard. Yeah.
Like, right now about it, I would say no, but like thinking a bit farther, then I would say actually yes. I kind of got more paranoid. I saw what is possible with getting data about people, but I wouldn't say that I got any mental illness or sickness or depression because of VRChat or any sort of things like that. But I've encountered several people having that issue.
This is just one of many examples, but VRChat isn't all that bad. It can be used, as I mentioned before, to support people and spread positivity and kindness.
Bei mir hat VRChat tatsächlich eher das Gegenteil ausgelöst, da ich ja mehr gute Leute kennengelernt habe. Ich habe immer mehr mit der Zeit mitbekommen, dass es sehr toxische Leute auf Kartoffelbeet und etwas größeren Servern gibt, dass dann Leute unter dir sind und dich belauschen.
Hat das jemand schon mal mit dir gemacht?
Ja, es wurde bei mir schon manchmal gemacht.
Can also, in some cases, help out with social anxiety, fear, and other mental issues somebody may be going through.
Before I spent a lot of time in VRChat, I had severe social anxiety. So I would always get nervous in school and stuff. But since I gotten used to be around people in VRChat, it now helped me in real life being more self-confident.
While at other times, it can do the exact opposite. Shader of Wheat, a frequent player, stated he used to be outgoing. He used to enjoy hanging out with friends. He was outside of his comfort zone, more interactive, and all around happy and mentally healthy. Then this happened.
Es hat damals in der Schule angefangen. Bevor ich VRChat gespielt habe, war ich interaktiver, ich war mehr außerhalb meiner Komfortzone, ich war mehr draußen, als nur zu Hause zu sitzen vor meinem Rechner. Und das hat sich dann irgendwann mal so weit reingesteigert, dass ich in dieses Spiel regelrecht mich hineingelebt habe. Bin nach Hause, erster Gedanke, VRChat. Ich bin zur Schule, VRChat. Ich war auf Arbeit, VRChat. Die Geschichten, die ich hier erlebt habe, waren unterhaltsam, aber auch nicht unbedingt positiv. Und du siehst hier jede Sau mit einer Beziehung rumrennen, ob die sich in Real Life kennen oder nicht.
It's no secret that mental health issues may arise, but this can be a conclusive proof of just how destructive VRChat could be to someone. However, as seen in some cases, it can be helpful, helping a person overcome their social anxiety and other such issues.
Naja, es ist erst seit ein paar Tagen, habe ich hier jemanden kennengelernt über einen Freund. Mir fehlt halt irgendwo das Körperliche, dass man sich wirklich jetzt zum Beispiel einfach umarmen kann. Ich meine, ich umarme hier jemanden, vielleicht hat die andere Person Phantom Feelings und spürt das noch extrem stark. Die Nähe, das fehlt einfach trotzdem irgendwo.
VRChat can cause many players to lose touch with reality and with other people, needing the attention of others online, seeking their validation and approval, and relying on them to quench their thirst of emotional needs and feelings.
There are people that need headbeds and there are people that need snuggles. Give them headbeds and snuggles and they're happy. If you don't, they cry.
While someone may experience online relationship in VRChat, most of them are without emotions. No physical contact, no seeing one another in real life. This builds up constant stress, lack of emotional fulfillment, and trust issues, as well as social anxiety and many other issues. However, emotional issues aren't the only problems. When players enter into relationships in VRChat, they aren't dating the person, they are dating their persona, their avatar, their false identity. They're dating who the person wants to be, not who the person actually is.
Aber es gibt auch Grenzen, was hier in VRChat oft überschritten wird. Von, ja, keine Ahnung, der Typ ist 40, die ist fucking 14, die European in a fucking lobby.
VRChat is a home to several predators or groomers. This is a vulnerable place for kids and teens. Their mind is easily influenced, and the lack of understanding of the real world could very well end in the most horrifying real-world experiences. Grooming and pedophilia can be seen in VRChat if you look hard enough, and once you have, you'll see just how common it is. This endangers the underage player base, which makes up most of the people playing the game. Implementing an age limit of 16 years minimum would be helpful. VRChat cannot do any more to control the issue of predators grooming underage kids, as they can't simply lie about their age.
It is definitely addicting. If you have nothing to do in your life, then VRChat is a pretty good place to be at, and that's how an addiction can start.
Smoking, drinking, drugs. These are what we usually think about when we hear about the word addiction. But it goes much deeper than that. Anything can be an addiction, including gaming. While it may seem weird and uncommon, it's a real thing and affects more players than you might think.
Without me realizing it, when I went to work, I was subconsciously using the Joy-Cons. When I would sit at the desk, if I was making expressions, like for example how I am with this hand here, I would make expressions without even realizing it. And it was at that point that I knew that I needed to put the game down for a while. And when you're in a professional environment and you're randomly doing a peace sign or something like that, that's a little weird, ain't it? I definitely believe, again, because this can be an escape, and especially if people are in bad situations at home, this is the perfect place to get your mind away from it, like going to vacation or an amusement park. It completely has the potential, besides becoming an addiction, to be negative to your psyche, to where it gets harder to distinguish real life versus VR. You know, if real life sucks too much, you're gonna live in VR more, which can lead to even more negative habits. It's like, oh, yeah, I would call that my low-key addiction.
Addiction to VRChat is something that usually goes unnoticed, but when it's noticed, it's usually too late, and the addiction is already set in. This makes it 10 times harder for someone to quit and can have withdrawal symptoms just like any other addiction. Even a mild addiction can have major effects on people.
Addicted is a harsh word and it's not really defined. I would say I definitely had somewhat of a second life in there and let my main life, my IRL life, suffer through that, which made me wanna be more in that life that is good. So I would say maybe, but overall, I think playing this in the long term might just give you the same effect.
This addiction may not sound as bad, but having a second life like this can tear someone apart. It causes stress, emotional issues, and eventually it will all catch up to you. VRChat can be very addicting.
Let's go back to high school. If you're in high school, then this may be a familiar feeling for you. You're walking down a hallway, and you hear rumors about another student. You think nothing of it, and you keep on walking. Then again the next day, next week, next month, and for 4 years, depending on where you live in what's called high school, you'll hear constant changing rumors about students you may know very well, or students you haven't even heard of, until one day, you hear a rumor about yourself. This occurs on a much larger scale in VRChat, and the odds of having information being shared about yourself is very, very low, but they aren't zero.
Es sind immer noch über mich genügend Gerüchte unterwegs. Es gibt Leute, die blockieren, wenn sie wissen, wer unter diesem Namen wirklich steckt. Die sehen mich, die ignorieren mich. Und sobald sie mitkriegen, Moment mal, das ist ja wirklich die Person, dann hören die sich ein, zwei Gerüchte an. Wer ist das überhaupt? Bumm, Block. Mit meinem alten Account kam ich in eine Lobby rein, wurde blockiert, nur wegen meinem Namen.
A reputation can be destroyed, personal information leaked, so many consequences for misinformation being spread, just to get back at someone, to annoy someone. This isn't the only case.
Mostly was just like social stuff. Like I was in a friend group, and one of them just got a girlfriend, which I was very close to, and then he just started spreading misinformation about me, how I am doxing people, how I'm a liar and stuff, and yeah, I got like kicked out of most friends list and Discord servers because of that.
As for ZK Wolf, there was no prompt. He did nothing wrong, and yet his friend stabbed him in the back. For what reason? Nobody knows. Kicked out of social groups, servers, and even dogs. Gangs in VRChat can be highly threatening. You'd think anyway. In late 2018-2019, gangs were probably the most threatening aspect of VRChat, and you would never want to mess with one. If you did, the consequences could be major. Doxing, harassment, violent threats, crashing games, and much more. Flooding lobbies and playing obnoxious audio once they join, these gangs were feared, until now. Nowadays, gangs can be considered jokes, empty threats, avoidable harassment, and the most they can do is be annoying and spam audio in lobbies filled with adolescent wannabes. These gangs are nothing compared to what they used to be.
Es gab halt 10 Millionen Gangs, sagen wir es mal so. Man muss sich das so vorstellen wie GTA RP. Da gibt es ja auch gewisse Gangs und die Leute sind halt zusammen in ihrem Kreis, ist halt wie so eine Familie. Und wenn einer einem blöd kommt, dann gibt es halt gleich ein paar aufs Maul, sagen wir es mal so. Ja, es gab schon als Ziele immer auf die gegnerischen, also auf die anderen Gangs zu gehen. Das ist halt auch so ein Hauptding gewesen. Überwiegend gibt es nur Stress, Drama und Gecrasherei.
A member of 16-inch Tesla dash screen gang. My grass is greener than yours, so fuck you, gang. Good neighbor, but actually not a good neighbor and actually just screams until 5 a.m. gang.
But this doesn't mean they can't be dangerous.
Yes, I do know what a gang is, and I had multiple interactions with them. Most of them were kind of negative, and I kind of tried to hold myself close to them just so I don't get into trouble with them, you know, kind of like holding your enemies, like keeping your enemies closer than your friends. I was always like accepted by them, most of them, but generally I was never like really a part of one.
Overall, gangs nowadays can only be considered as cringe and unworthy of fear, but this doesn't mean they should be provoked. They could cause serious issues if taken lightly, and you never know which gangs are jokes, and which ones can really mess with you.
Yes, of course. Doxing is a thing that, as far as I know, many people use in the wrong way. People use doxing like, oh, this person insulted me, I'm triggered, I'm gonna dox this person because I found out their address, their real name and their phone number. And people don't really think about the consequences of doxing. Like, I don't get it why you would dox a person that did nothing wrong, you know?
Doxing is a very dangerous act. It's also illegal to release private documents and information, but doxing in itself isn't actually illegal. Anything in the public records can be shared as, well, it's public. But this can ruin lives, expose people, not in the good way, and can cause real-life threats. This isn't specific only to VRChat. Call of Duty, Minecraft, Overwatch, Valorant. All of these games pose a threat of you being doxed, but VRChat is by far the most dangerous one. Why? Because of its highly toxic player base. For those who don't know, doxing is the release of an individual's information without their consent, with the explicit aim of threatening or harassing said person. VRChat players are ruthless and relentless. They will stop at nothing to destroy a person's life to get back at them for something big, or for something so small, such as losing a game. These acts are usually done for very cheap.
Yes, I know what doxing is, and I experienced many times because I talked to people in gangs and whatnot back in the day. People doxed each other all the time. People went out and actually be like, yo, if you wanna fuck this person up, here, for $30, I'm gonna find out everything about them. It was really strong, but only in the very, very depths of the VRChat community. But it was definitely on a daily basis topic.
$30 to reveal all the information about a person. That's all it takes. If this behavior goes unmoderated, then the implications could lead VRChat to become the Silk Road.
Hacking in almost every game is a bannable offense, but players still do it with hope that they won't be banned or noticed. This applies to VRChat. The true extent to which it applies is absurd.
So if you mean clients, yes, of course, they're all over the place and they got more and more in and more popular, and at this point people kind of required to use it if they want to play VRChat on a regular basis. I always try to stay away from them, but at this point I don't think it's avoidable anymore.
At this point, mods are practically required to even play the game. This can break the game and ruin the experience for several players very quickly. They may even require mods to be able to play the game normally.
I started getting into the modding community very early. I made a lot of crashers, yeah. And after that, when I got out of all of that, I just used accessibility, like that my legs don't fly away and I can lay down. I have block, anti-crash and that stuff.
And modders who use the cheats to gain an advantage in the game are usually looked down upon by the rest of the community.
If you have a disability, you can install mods that help you play the game like everyone else.
However, these mods started off for a noble cause. To implement fixes into the game. Everyone used to use them.
Wir haben ja alle damals Clients benutzt. Wer kennt's nicht? Die Mods haben vielen Leuten geholfen, von Leuten, die nicht sprechen konnten, was mittlerweile zum Glück implementiert ist. Ich war einer der toxischen Modder, die gecrashed haben, wo ich mittlerweile aufgehört habe, weil es diesem Spiel nichts mehr bringt und sowieso keinen Spaß mehr macht, so wie damals.
It's now devolved into archaic, used to break the game, cheat, crash clients and other practices to make the game flat out unplayable for others.
IK Crasher, Mesh Crasher, Material Crasher, von einer Kombination von Broken Asset Prefabbern war alles dabei und die Mods haben das gefixt, was VRChat bis heute nicht geschissen kriegt.
Going back through the chapters one by one, we see a connection between each of them, and a pattern is established. This pattern effectively mirrors the real world, with all the negativity, hate, depression, mental health issues are prominent. With these issues rising, so are addictions of illegal or highly unhealthy substances. Relationships are blatantly fake, and most partners don't trust each other and are frequently unfaithful. Pedophilia can be seen plaguing the streets, and children are unsafe, both online and offline. Grooming is a real-life issue. Another major issue can be seen that doing things online may translate to real life. This can be a very real and very dangerous threat to society. This can all cause misinformation to be spread. It can cause false rumors to be created. And this connects to people exposing their personal information, home address, IP address, and other sensitive data. This data is sold online, and this is what was going on. Release of the Silk Road in 2012. Selling of illegally obtained data, drugs, illegal paraphernalia, real-life gangs owning streets and areas, organized crime blackmailing government and political influences to get their way. VRChat perfectly mirrors life in all aspects, and this is why it's so important. When we see these things happen in real life, we think it's just another bad thing. Seeing the same occur in a game, and everyone realizes that these acts are dangerous, horrendous, and are very negative influences on society. VRChat is a wake-up call to real life and real-world issues. The dark side of VRChat is the surface of the world we currently live in. What would that tell us about the dark side of the world we live in?